A busy day of trades across the NFL. For the most part, we're going to focus in on 6 different trade rumors that have been floated out there with the 2025 NFL trade deadline approaching. We will also discuss the 2 trades that happened today across the NFL. And hey, we'll see if a third one happens tonight on top of that. If you want all the latest trade buzz across the NFL, the news, the rumors, everything else in between, hit that sub button right now so you don't miss out. 2 trades went down today. The second one that happened just before we went live today on NFL Daily. Intriguing is the one-word reaction for it for me. Odafe Oweh, the edge rusher, and a 7th-round pick via the Rams in 2027, so not this year, but next year, heading over to the LA Chargers. The Ravens getting a new starting safety, Alohi Gilman, and a 5th-round pick in 2026. Kind of been pushed by some national media as the Ravens wanted the safety help, but sacrificing Oweh is interesting. I tend to prefer that trade a little bit more for the Chargers, who badly needed the pass rush help there. Plus, Tony Jefferson looks like he's actually a good player still, which is hilarious, speaking of former Ravens and current Chargers, by the way. The maybe more notable name trade, because it's a quarterback, Joe Flacco heading to the Cincinnati Bengals, the extremely rare AFC North deal, a 6th-round pick via the Lions, also heading to the Bengals, the Browns getting a 5th-round pick, so kind of big tier gaps there, with the Browns drafting likely early in the 5th round, and the Bengals potentially drafting early in the 5th round, and the Lions drafting late in the 6th round. So big pick swap difference there. Still kind of amounts to a 6th, 7th round pick, somewhere in that ballpark, but is noteworthy. Who won the Joe Flacco trade? C-I-N for the Bengals, C-L-E for the Browns. Let me know in the comment section of today's show who you think won the trade. Next up, especially after the Joe Flacco trade, will there be any more quarterback trades? CBS Sports had reported before the Flacco deal that most of the notable quarterback names were not drawing interest. They specifically mentioned Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, and Anthony Richardson. That does align with the report that came out from I think it was Diana Rossini on the Flacco trade that the Bengals never called the Giants about Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. With the Bengals off the board, it seems like, outside of an injury, I don't know if you're going to get a quarterback trade. Kirk Cousins is maybe, I don't think we can lock it in, the best one of that bunch, but he's expensive. I don't know if the Cowboys actually, or the Falcons actually want to eat any of the money. That's a red flag there. Russell Wilson, look, outside of one game against the really bad Cowboys defense, he's not playing well. He doesn't look good at all out there. Anthony Richardson, there was the report from ESPN that Richardson wanted to go play for a team with a bright quarterback mind, innovator, play caller to maximize him. And I'm kind of like, well, but Shane Steichen is cooking with Daniel Jones. That might be a you problem, AR. I don't know if there's much interest there because the contract's set to expire soon and you're not going to develop him properly. I think, especially with the Bengals off the board, kind of feels like no. Now, that can all change if a player goes down with an injury, and I think it probably would change, but let's knock on wood, hope for no injuries here. So will another quarterback be traded? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's show, will another QB get dealt before this year's deadline? I want to address the A.J. Brown trade rumors. He is reportedly frustrated in Philadelphia. Devonta Smith reportedly frustrated in Philadelphia as well. And the trade rumors, or maybe just trade hopes for a different franchise to land him, those just won't stop. Look, A.J. Brown has been a disappointment this year. I think he is upset with his deployment, his usage. He's only got 19 catches for 194 yards and a touchdown. That's not good. He wants more. He wants more touchdowns. The biggest issue about limiting a trade is the Eagles would lose over $9 million in salary cap space with a trade. They don't save any money with the way the A.J. Brown contract is structured. Trading him would actually cost them more salary cap space. Now, they can do that. They're very creative with how they manage their money. But despite the apparent issues, which kind of continue to linger under the surface, I would be surprised if the Eagles actually ended up flipping A.J. Brown, especially right now. I'm not even convinced it happens next year. You can maybe revisit after June 1st next year, but I don't see as many trades in that timeline. Today's show is made possible by Ethos. As father of 2 kids now, which is fun and also tiring. It's not fun to think about what would happen if something happened to you, but you do need to be prepared. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL daily. That's ethos.com/NFL daily. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry, and as of March 2025, was named by Business Insider as the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online. No medical exam is required. You just answer a few health questions and get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL daily. That's ethos.com/NFL daily. Application times may vary, rates may vary. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Some trade rumors coming out of Fox Sports. They say Mark Andrews is a potential trade candidate before the deadline. And you do wonder if they flipped away Odafe Oweh, even though they got a starter at safety back, maybe they could look to shop Mark Andrews. Big issue here is, does he actually generate that much interest? There had been, this is not new trade rumors on Mark Andrews, but they kept him into the season and haven't flipped him yet. 17 catches, 150 yards. Yeah, he was really productive last year in a very impressive fashion, but he's battled some injuries. The touchdowns were productive. The yards, the catches, all of that had kind of been phased out a little bit in favor of the production for Isaiah Likely. The contract also presents some complications here. $7 million base salary in 2025. Is it nothing? Now it's the prorated figure, so it's going to be like $3.5–4 million. But that's an aging tight end. Does a team like Jacksonville, if they think they're going to be down Bretton Strange for longer than 4 weeks, team? Maybe. Of note, and this does kind of like make me doubt the report a little bit. It was the same reporter as part of like a conglomerate article on Fox Sports of like different reporters for them. They also mentioned Elijah Vera Tucker in the same sentence, which I just don't think makes any sense. Like, he's hurt. You don't trade hurt guys and get good value back. You trade them once they're healthy. Like that's why asterisks on that one for me. So name a player who you think ends up getting traded. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. What player do you think ends up getting dealt? A name I do think makes sense from the New York Jets is Breece Hall. Now, the injury to Braylon Allen might complicate things here a little bit, but the Jets are the worst team in football. They're 0-5. They're not going to be a playoff team. It is rebuilding time in New York. It is building for the future time. It makes you worse, but if you get something decent back for Breece Hall, more than the comp pick might fetch you, although you might be spending in free agency, so maybe you don't even want to play that game, Breece Hall does make some sense. He's averaging 5.3 yards per carry this year, coming off a good game against the Cowboys, despite the Jets not having a good game against the Cowboys. 45.5% success rate is pretty darn solid. Hall is looking a little bit more like the best version of himself. If you're averaging almost 5 yards per carry, the dual threat quarterbacking, I think, does benefit him a little bit there. This is closer to the best version. The touchdowns aren't high. Yeah, I don't know if I can blame him for that, though. That might be more of a team issue for anything else. So there are several teams in the market for a running back, from the Bears to maybe the Chiefs to others. The Chargers are fighting for a spot. There could be some running back movement this year at the deadline. Another name, again mentioned by Fox Sports, is Alvin Kamara, and they listed him as one of the Saints' top trade candidates. They also mentioned Chris Olave. Something tells me we'll spend a lot of time on the Saints trade options the next couple weeks, so we'll revisit Olave in the future. I want to focus on the running backs. We'll come back to AK here. Who is more likely to be traded? AK for Alvin Kamara, BH for Breece Hall. Let me know in the comments section of today's show, which player do you think is more likely to get moved? Breece Hall just has the final year of his contract. He's super cheap. Kamara is cheap, but kind of isn't, for the Saints at least. They've already paid him pretty much all of his money. It kind of feels like this is going to be his last year in New Orleans with the way it's all set up to do everything, and he might even, outside a chance he retires maybe after this year. You're viewing him as rental, but he's a cheap rental. 2.64, and it's prorated figure, so it's like 1.75 if you trade for him at the deadline, somewhere in that ballpark. That's affordable for anybody. The problem is, boy, how much more does Alvin Kamara really have left in the tank for you? It kind of feels like it's not that much at this time. And that's the concern, where look, the numbers haven't been that great on the ground. They kind of rebounded last year in only 14 games played, but this year, it kind of regressed back to previous form. The success rate is not very good. He doesn't look as explosive, especially in the passing game, which was one of the big elements of his play that everyone liked him for so much. Kendre Miller looks like he's outplaying him right now. Maybe that's a factor for Saints to trade him to get more Kendre Miller snaps. I kind of like Cam Jordan. I wonder if the name does not match the level of play. So be honest with me. Do you think Alvin Kamara might actually be washed up? 0 for yes. He's got nothing to think. 1 for no. He can do it for one more year. 0 for yes, 1 for no. Finally, and I'll give Fox Sports credit for pointing it out because they were the original source on it. The Raiders are bad. We know it. Jakobi Meyers had requested a trade earlier in the offseason. Raiders said no. The Raiders are now a mess. Maybe now is the time to shop him and get something back and just kind of almost force Jack Bech into playing time. I know that he hasn't been the instant impact guy the Raiders were hoping for. They're banged up at tight end. Brock Bowers has been a disappointment. I know trading away your number one wide receiver by a pretty good margin from a target and catch perspective isn't how most teams operate, but maybe you just kind of force the Jack Bech era now. And you let Trey Tucker, Deontay Thornton, and Jack Bech be the wide receiver core in Vegas. Meyers was a 1,000-yard receiver last year. With the way Geno Smith is playing, it doesn't feel like he's going to get to that figure this season. But I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up getting dealt. Maybe a team like Pittsburgh could make some sense, given they look to every single wide receiver. If the Niners can't get healthy at that spot, maybe they could make some sense. But I think the selling for Vegas this type of player actually does make quite a bit of sense.